Welcome to Grand Sumo Breakdown,
the unofficial sumo podcast
for official sumo fans.
Welcome to Grand Sumo Breakdown. This is Ryan.
This is Jake.
And this is going to be our Banzuke review episode. About a month ago, I put together my predicted Banzuke for Natsu, and we put out an episode going over that and everything that I thought would happen. And now the Banzuke has finally come out this week, meaning that Sumo is right around the corner, so we have to check and see how I did.
I was really looking forward to this episode because I thought I was going to be able to mock you more, but you did a pretty solid job on this one.
Turns out I did all right. So as I mentioned, we have the Natsu Banzuke prediction episode that came out at the end of March, beginning of April. However the timeline with Sumo works out, it's been so long I've kind of forgotten at this point. But if you want to if you haven't listened to that and want to listen to that, kind of see what I predicted and then obviously compare how I did now, that'd be awesome. We will also have our preview edition with all 4 GSB guys coming out sometime next week.
Whenever we can all actually, put the rest of our lives on hold again like we're supposed to.
Yeah, that seems to be difficult this time, but we'll figure it out for you, the fans.
That's what we really live for.
Yeah.
None of this BS family junk.
So just real quick before we dive into what the Banzuke looks like, I'm going to be listing a number pretty much after every Rikshi, and that's going to be the difference in rank between what I predicted and what they actually were. So if I say Hakuho 1, that means Hakuho was 1 spot off of where I predicted him to go. And a 1 is just going to be a difference between the east and the west side. Or if I say 2, that's going to be a difference between Maegashira 1 east and Maegashira 2 east. Because got the west in between there, which would Maegashira 1 west, which would be your 1 rank difference.
Right, because, the east is slightly more prestigious than the west, so it's basically half a rank. In our calculations here for how we scored Ryan and how we're going to be judging him as a human going forward, we made the math that way so that we can, at the end, we can look at how far off he was on each of these and see if we can do a little bit of dorky math to grade him.
All right, but with that, we'll just jump right into the Banzuke with the Yokozuna, where expectedly we had Hakuho as your East Yokozuna and Kakuryu as the West Yokozuna. That's exactly how I predicted it. No real need to discuss that any further.
Pretty low bar to clear there.
Yep. Ozeki, we got Goedo as your top Ozeki, Takayasu as your Ozeki 1 West, and Takakeisho as your Ozeki 2 East. Takakeisho being the Shin Ozeki, or the new Ozeki. He is going to be the lowest ranked Ozeki.
Right. We'll have a lot more to say about him in our preview episode, but yeah, as a podcast, I know we're happy to see him in that new rank.
And once again, those are exactly as I predicted them. Sekiwake, we have Ichinojo as your East Sekiwake, and Tochinoshin dropping down from Ozeki to be Sekiwake West. I got both of those correct, and Tochinoshin is the lowest ranked Sekiwake because the Ozeki that are demoted are always the lowest ranked Sekiwake.
Yeah, well, another one that we're going to touch on a lot in our preview episode, but he's in that slot because he lost his Ozeki ranking in the previous tournament. And he gets 1 chance to get 10 wins and earn Ozeki back. Otherwise, he has to get his rank back the long way.
Yeah, exactly. Down to Komusubi to finish out the Sanyaku ranks. We have Aoyama at Komusubi East and Mitakeyumi hanging on to the not the Mitakeyumi West spot, the Komusubi West spot, which is once again exactly how I had it. So far through the Sanyaku ranks, I am 9 for 9.
Is it just because of how we treat you on the normal podcast episodes that you're just reveling in us not being able to mock you this time?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, we do go pretty hard on you.
And I'm not going to lie, the Sanyaku ranks are the easiest to fill out, so getting those all right isn't actually too hard to do. But I'm going to be happy for myself.
But so be it. You've done it.
Yeah, that's right. And Mitakeyumi, he had a losing record at Komusubi in the last time, but he was the East Komusubi, and so technically it is a demotion for him to slide over to the West rank. So that is what happened here for the Natsu Banzuke. So we're going to move on to the Zone of Death, and that is just going to encompass the rest of the Joy or the wrestlers you would expect to face a Yokozuna in this Basho. So Maegashira 1, here's where I finally missed something.
Finally.
Yeah. On the east side, we have Hokuto Fuji just dropping down one rank from Komosubi West to Maegashira 1 East. And then we have Kodo Shogiku jumping up from, I believe he was Maegashira 9 in the last Basho, and he will be your Maegashira 1 West. I had those two switched around for my prediction, so I got a rank of 1 next to each of those guys.
Haha, finally, points against you. This is the greatest day of my life.
Well, it'll get better.
Okay,
There's a couple of them where you can slam me pretty hard. At Maegashira 2, on the east side, we have Endo, and on the west, we have Daisho. Two more that I was off by just 1 rank. Endo I had on the west side of Maegashira 2, and Daisho I had east side of Maegashira 3. So both of those guys off just by 1. So not too bad there. Maegashira 3, here's my biggest miss so far. Maegashira East, we have Chiyo Tairyu, who I had at Maegashira 2 East last time, and if you listen to that episode, I was kind of hemming and hawing over that decision to jump him from Maegashira 5 to Maegashira 2 with only an 8-7 record. Turns out I was right. That was a bit too high for Chiyo Tairyu to jump, so that's a 2-rank miss.
You're claiming that you got it right because you had doubts about it and then you picked wrong?
Well, no, I got it wrong. But I mean, because I had doubts about it, it makes it better wrong. It's not like I just confidently proclaimed Chiyo Tairyu to be there. I hedged enough to feel good now.
You're still a disgrace in my eyes.
Yeah, I also hedged a lot on Maegashira 3 West Tamawashi, but it turns out I nailed that right on.
So it's only kind of right then, is what you're saying.
No, it's 100% right. Hedging only affects your mood.
Oh my god, whatever.
Yeah. So Tamawashi dropped from Sekiwake, a very disappointing performance after his Yusho win in Hatsu, followed that up with a 5-10 in Haru.
Yeah, that's a drop-off of 8 wins for him. He went from it was a 13-2 to win?
13-2 to a 5-10.
That's a heck of a drop-off.
Yeah. And like I said, I was kind of hemming and hawing about the Tamawashi one. I thought he might have actually end up at Maegashira 2 because there's some recent history with guys dropping out of Sanyaku rank to land at Maegashira 2 West spot. But it turns out my decision to place him at Maegashira 3 was correct, and I feel good about me. Good job, me. And then to finish out the zone of death, the top 16, or it'd be 17, Nikshi in the Banzuke, it is Okinoumi at Maegashira 4 East, exactly where I expected him to go.
It is 16.
It is 16? Damn it. Okay. Yeah, I should have known that.
That's why you got me here, for the counting.
Exactly. All right. Let's move on to the mid-Banzuke section. We have Maegashira 4 West. That is Abi going in there, which is exactly what I predicted. Maegashira 5 East on the Maegashira 5 on the east side, we have Miyogiryu, and on the west side, we have Ryuden. I just switched those guys east and west around, so
2 points for you.
2 more points for me, and this is like golf. Lower score is better, so I don't want to be racking up these points.
I'll keep count. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's not like I have already calculated my total score and everything. The second
that was me, the spreadsheet guy.
Okay,
I
you
calculated
put together.
We'll get to the stats at the end.
Maegashira 6, let's talk about more things that I nailed exactly. On the east side, you got Takeda Fuji. On the west side, you have Yoshikaze. Takeda Fuji, just a mild promotion for him as he had an 8-7 record. Yoshikaze jumping up quite a bit as he had either a 10-5 or 11-4 record.
10-5.
10-5. So Yoshikaze jumping up quite a bit, but I nailed both of those. Maegashira 7, I forgot to put my scores in here for these guys, but I happen to know that I just missed the East and West rankings for them.
Oh, wow.
On the east,
you're so prepared for this.
I am. On the east side, we have Shodai, and on the west, we have Meisei. So Shodai was at Maegashira 3 and had a 5-10 record, only dropping down to Maegashira 7. Getting the luck of the Banzuke that
no kidding.
Tachiai seems to have really noticed that he gets. And then Meisei jumping up from Maegashira 11 to Maegashira 7. So he gets a little bit of luck at the Banzuke too, because he only had a 9-6 record. So that's maybe a bit more of a...
Just a little bit more than we might have expected.
Yeah, but...
It was a weird one.
I
was a weird
expected
Banzuke,
both
so.
of these things because I only had the East and West switch, so just 2 more points for Ryan, but I'll take 2 points. Here's where we start getting to a couple of guys where I missed a lot more on. Maegashira 8 East, we have Kaisei, where I actually had him going at Maegashira 10, and I will mention once again that I did hem and haw a little bit over dropping Kaisei as far as I did. But no, I did miss Kaisei by 2 full ranks instead of Maegashira 10.
For
He's
shame.
Maegashira 8. But at least on the west side, we have Asanoyama, who I nailed exactly at Maegashira 8 West. This is going to be his 4th consecutive Basho at the Maegashira 8 rank.
That is a ridiculous record.
As he has alternated between 8 and 7 and 7 and 8, and has only been moving up or moving down a half rank each of the last 4 Basho.
That is absurd.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything like that, so I'm really hoping that he gets an 8 and 7 record in this upcoming tournament.
You've never been rooting for anything quite so hard.
Exactly. I've never been rooting for mediocrity harder than for Asanoyama. But with Kaisei, I'm wondering if his drop, because he had a 3 and 12 record at Maegashira 1. That's a difference of 9. So maybe we could justify him going down to Maegashira 10, but I wonder if because he was in the Joy, he was going up against harder competition. I wonder, same like with dropping people out of Sanyaku, it doesn't seem like they drop as far as they should if kind of he's given the same treatment.
Yeah, just a little bit of the benefit of the doubt.
But I mean, it is still a 7 rank drop, so maybe I just need to reevaluate how I look at kind of those big losing records to see how far they drop. At Maegashira 9, we've got another guy that I missed decently on. We have Nishikigi at Maegashira 3 East. I had him going at Maegashira 10 West, so this is a 3 rank miss for him, and it's pretty much the same story as Kaisei. He had a 4 and 11 record from Maegashira 3. I expected him to drop just a little bit more than he actually did. Might be getting the same benefit from being in the Joy, or maybe they just shouldn't be dropping that far with that kind of record. Who knows? In the west side, we have Tomokaze, who was 9 and 6 at Maegashira 13 in this one, so he's jumping up 4 spots with that 9 and 6 record, kind of the same thing as Meisei, getting a little bit benefit of how the Banzuke turned out for that little extra boost to his rank.
Yeah, we're going to be getting into that quite a bit in this bottom part of the section where everything is just a little bit wonky.
Oh, yes, we will. And Tomokaze, I had him at Maegashira 9 East, so only a 1 spot difference for me there. At Maegashira 10, on the east side, we are going to have Kagayaki, and on the west side, we are going to have Onosho. 2 more guys that I only was off by 1 spot on. I had Kagayaki at Maegashira 9 West, and so he's at Maegashira 10 East, really only a half rank there. And Onosho, he is at Maegashira 10 West. I had him at Maegashira 11 East. Once again, really on only a 1 rank difference. Onosho is another guy that I kind of hemmed and hawed a lot about. For some reason, him at Maegashira 11 just felt really, really wrong to me, and I didn't think he was going to drop that far. Turns out, I mean, he didn't drop quite that far, but it was only 1 rank above where I had him. So I don't know why I felt like that, but it turns out it was absolutely correct.
It just felt wrong.
It did just feel wrong. And I guess it was, but at least it wasn't too wrong. Maegashira 11, we have Shohozan, who was 7 and 8 at Maegashira 10, so he's just dropping down 1 rank. And on the west side, we have Tochiyozan, who is another guy that was in the Zone of Death, who went 3 and 12, so he got knocked down a little bit further. Well, no, he only went down 7 ranks as well, because he was at 4 down to 11. And so we got those 2 guys. I had Shohozan at Maegashira 11 West, and I had Tochiyozan at Maegashira 12 East. So once again, just a 1 rank difference for each of those guys.
Ooh, here we go.
Yeah, and then
this one looks promising.
And then we come to Maegashira 12 on the east side. My biggest miss of this Basho by far, Shima no Umi, who I had going all the way up at Maegashira 8 East, coming in at Maegashira 12 East. That's a full 4 numbered ranks below where he should be and 8 actual ranks.
But
Well, not where he should be. Well, yeah, it is
because
where he
Ryan
should
be in charge.
be. Exactly. If I was in charge, there'd be so many improvements to Sumo, but that's a whole other episode. I think we talked about like having the Sukebito around the Tawara to help out.
Oh yeah, we have a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
We're an ideas podcast.
We'll eventually start our own league, and it'll be very good. But
The XFL of sumo, if you will.
yes, moving on to this Banzuke and things that I got absolutely correct. We have Yago at Maegashira 12 West, which is where I had him. But let's talk about Shima no Umi a little bit. I wasn't surprised about Kaisei, Nishikigi, Chiyotairyu. Those are my biggest.
You were a little
so
bit
far.
off, but you weren't like shocked by them.
Yeah, this one I am honestly very surprised with. He was in Juryo, but he was the top-ranked guy in Juryo with a 13-2 record, won the Yusho. So if we kind of use my rule of thumb, that's like an 11-rank jump we expect him to make. And here he's only jumping 6 ranks. And, I mean, we're at the middle of the Maegashira Banzuke. It's not like there's anybody that absolutely needs to be ahead of him, that he hasn't like earned a jump up to Maegashira 8, which is where I expected and where I kind of think he deserved to go. So I'm not really sure why he's only going up to Maegashira 12.
It could be part of coming up from Juryo. Maybe that affects the way your rule of thumb works. Did that hold for the other guys that jumped up?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, no, because it's a bloodbath at the bottom. And so
that's a good point.
There's
a lot
people
going
jumping up far too far, but there's really no other person that could have come up. But for Shima no Umi, we do have precedent of guys, and we discussed this on the Banzuke prediction episode, where there have been guys who have jumped up to Maegashira 7, Maegashira 8 from the Juryo spot in their debut in the Makuuchi division.
And a 13-2 from the top Juryo slot is pretty much as good as you can get.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Okay.
Exactly. I mean, we talked about Kakuryu jumped up to, I think it was Maegashira 8 or 9 with a 9-6 record from Juryo.
Ooh.
So I'm really not sure why Shima no Umi is at this spot. I'm okay with missing this one so bad because I don't think I missed it more than the people who made the Banzuke missed it.
Yeah, okay.
And like I said, Yago I nailed pretty much, and pretty much after Yago, in the prediction, Banzuke prediction, I called the next section the bottom of the Banzuke S show, and I called it the part I'm going to get completely wrong, where I have to change that. I have to label it the part I got almost completely right.
That's nuts. Yeah, so you only got 4 points out of these bottom 9 guys, and this is the part that you
I only got 2 points. These guys should not have ones next to their name.
Oh, yeah, let me fix it, make it accurate.
Yeah.
Look at me, I'm Ryan.
So let's just go through this. Maegashira 13 East, we have Chiyomaru jumping up from Juryo, and on the west side we have Sato no Umi. Sato no Umi had a 5-10 record from Maegashira 9, so he's only dropping down 4 spots, really. Kind of about the same as Shodai did.
So you're saying they're right where God ordained that they must be?
Exactly. And thank you. I will demand
Lord.
that you refer to me. Yes, exactly, Lord. No, I cannot rightfully claim to be a god. If people choose to worship me, that's another thing, but I cannot in good conscience confirm I am a god. But so here's the thing with the Shima no Umi thing as well. So Chiyomaru was also in Juryo, and he had a 10-5 record and was ranked right next to Shima no Umi.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I want to make a note of this point in the podcast when I go back and do the editing. I want to see if you can hear me roll my eyes, because it was pretty hard. All right, whatever. Back to whatever your BS you were talking about was.
So Chiyomaru was ranked right next to Shima no Umi, and they had a decent difference in their record, 13-2 versus 10-5. So you'd expect a quite a bit larger difference between them in the next Banzuke, but there's only one more person between them than there was in the last Banzuke. So I think that just shows that I was right and that they just messed up with Shima no Umi.
That must be what it is.
If we go down to Maegashira 14, on the east side, we have Tokushoryu at Mike Shear 14 East. I already said that. He's coming up from Juryo. He was Juryo 4 West, I believe, and he had a 9-6 record. And then we have Enho at Maegashira 14 West. We now have Enho confirmed in the Makuuchi division. Let everybody celebrate and have good times. Come on.
It is the greatest day of my life.
It truly is. I did have these guys switched around East and West on my predictions, so that's 2 more points that I racked up there. I'm a little surprised Toku Shoryu jumped up over Enho. He did have the better record, but he was 2 full ranks below Enho in the last Banzuke. So, I mean, whatever.
Even gods can bleed.
Yeah, sure. And then the bottom part where I was very unsure about it just because it was so hard. There were people that had bad records that deserved to move down further than they actually did, and there weren't enough people in Juryo with good records to come up and take their spots, which is why these guys that had bad records didn't drop as far as they could have. But on the Maegashira 15 East side, we have Terutsuyoshi, and on the west side, we have Kodo Eiko. And it is kind of important to note that Kodo Eiko is the first of 3 Rikishi at the bottom of the Banzuke here with a 7-8 record that did not move at all on the Banzuke.
Really? So instead of a demotion, which they should get for a losing record, they just stayed in one spot?
Just stayed put because there really wasn't anybody to move up and take their spot. Whereas like Terutsuyoshi had a 6-9 record, so he dropped 1 rank with a 6-9 record. But if you had dropped like Kodo Eiko, Daishoho, Chiyoshoma, then you would have been forced to pull up some guys from Juryo or keep some guys in Makuuchi that deserve to go down to Juryo even more than the likes of Terutsuyoshi, Daishoho, Ishiura, and Chiyoshoma. So Maegashira 16 East, we have Daishoho, who is another one of those guys that did not move at all. Ishiura is at Maegashira 16 West. He's dropping down from Maegashira 15, so just a 1 rank drop for him, really, after a 6-9 record. And to cap off the Makuuchi division for the 2nd straight Basho, we have the incredibly lucky Chiyoshoma, who will not be demoted to Juryo despite having a losing record as the bottom-ranked Makuuchi Rikishi.
That is by far got to be the luckiest guy on the card.
Oh, most definitely. And I gotta say, predicting the Banzuke to have 3 guys not move was a little scary, but it just proves that I know more than I give myself credit for. I am truly a prodigy. I've been doing this less than a year, so to get something so complicated, just so incredibly right, just speaks to my character and dedication to the art of sumo.
Yeah, something like that. All right, so why don't we analyze your performance here and see what the stats say?
Why don't we? Yeah, let's do that.
Why don't we do the thing you just said?
All right, so we kept track with how many total misses I had. So somebody where I just missed it, the East to West ranking, that was a miss of 1. Whereas Shima Naomi, I missed him by 4 numerical ranks. That was a miss of 8 spots. And so total misses that I had was 32, which gives me an average error per Rikishi of less than 1.
Yeah, that's
0.762. So I feel pretty darn good about that.
Our slightly arbitrary grading scale says anything lower than a 1 is an A ranking, and this is the best one. We haven't been doing these episodes for most of a year here, but Ryan has been writing down his Banzuke predictions, and then we've measured how far off they are. And it is the best one he's done so far out of, 4 or 5?
This is my 4th one, so we'll go backwards in order. My Hatsu one that I did...
Haru would be after that.
Yeah, I have trouble with spreadsheets sometimes. The Haru one that I did, in comparison to the 32 misses I had for this one, I had 67.
That's a 1.595 or a C rank.
Yeah, which... we might need to adjust those rankings. I think that might be worse than a C. I might give that a D.
Yeah.
But kind of big things that I missed there. Miyogiryu, I was off by 11 on Miyogiryu. I was off by 7 on Daisho, 9 on Abi. So I had 2 guys as bigger misses than my biggest miss for this most current Banzuke. Also, I did not get everybody who was promoted to the Makuuchi division from Juryo, which we just arbitrarily gave a 5 ranking
Yeah,
to.
a 5-point penalty if you get one of those wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was your previous one. How'd you do before that?
Before that was a little bit better, a lot of it better. That was Hatsu, where I had 35 total misses.
Oh.
So just a little bit worse than the one that I had for Natsu. My biggest miss in there being not correctly predicting promotion to Makuuchi from Juryo, so I got a 5-spot penalty in there. My biggest actual miss was a 4.
Oh, that wasn't too bad.
Yeah, there's just more of those, because in this Natsu one, I only had 4 Nikishi that I was off by more than 1 rank, or like just the difference between the east and the west side. So I got 38 within a half numerical rank.
That's pretty awesome.
And then my first one I ever did, a full prediction for the Banzuke, not surprisingly, the worst one I've done. And that's Kyushu 2018. I had total of 78 for my misses, average error of almost 2 ranks per Nikishi. So
Yikes.
that's pretty much saying, like, if I said somebody was Maegashira 1 East, it's more likely they were Maegashira 2 East or Komusubi East.
Yeah. Yeah, and for a lot of these, like we said at the beginning, the Sanyaku ranks, the top ranks, and the highest of the Megashira are usually the easier ones.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, as you get into the middle and the bottom of the Megashira, the difficulty goes up. But yeah, this one sets a new record with only 32 misses, and for the, I believe, second or third time, you got all of the Sanyaku right.
Yes.
Which, I mean, like we said, easier, but still, that's 9. Getting 9 out of 9 on those top guys.
Yeah. So I do have some stats about my Banzuke. I've already listed some of them off, but you know how much we love stats on this show.
Let's do it. Give me numbers.
I got 23 exactly correct on this Banzuke. 23 bullseyes out of a possible 42. So
is that like 55% or so?
That is exactly 55%, Jake. Your mental math is incredible.
Oh my god.
So I had 11 at the correct rank, but on the wrong side. So there's a contest that I'm going to get to in just a moment, but they call that a hit. And so I had 34 total hits, so that's 81%. So that's a B on my hits, but I don't like that thinking because I had 5 more.
Because a different way makes you look better?
Exactly. Because I had 5 more that were at the wrong rank, but only a half step off. So like when I had somebody at like Maegashira 9 West, but they were at Maegashira 10 East, that's really the same difference between having somebody at Maegashira 8 East, but they were really at Maegashira 8 West. It's still only off by 1. So like I said, I had 38 people that were either perfect or only off by 1 for 90.5% of my guesses only off by 1 rank.
There you go. There's an A-.
Exactly. So I'm going to stick with that number for giving myself a grade on this one. That there was a contest that I entered. There's a Guess the Banzuke contest that if you are interested in predicting your own Banzuke, I recommend filling out a sheet on that one. This is the first time that I did it, and I finished 30th out of 93. So if you think me bloviating about how good I did, there were 29 people that did better than me. So maybe I shouldn't brag so much, but you know what? I'm going to anyways. I feel kind of good about this. It's the best I've ever done.
How's your back feeling? Is it getting tired from you patting yourself on it so much?
It's a little red. It's a little raw. I'm going to keep going for at least until the preview. We record the preview episode, and you guys remind me that I was the only loser.
I'm doing my best here, but with my other 2 buddies, I think we can bring you down to size a little bit.
It's possible, but it's going to be hard after this. I'm feeling pretty good, especially because in the Guess the Banzuke contest, I beat Kintamayama.
Ooh, the host of the contest?
He is the host of the contest. He also puts out videos on YouTube where we catch up on the daily action during the Bashos. He was ranked 61st for this Banzuke.
Ooh, bad day for him.
Yes, so I feel pretty good about that. And like I said, the scoring for that one, like I said, I had 23 exactly right, so that would have given me 46 points because you get 2 points for a perfect guess. And then I had 11 at the correct rank, but on the wrong side, so that's 1 point for that. So I got 53 total points. I think I should have gotten 58 total points, which probably would have...
Well, that would have made other people get more points, too.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, it would have made me higher in the rankings, at least a little bit, maybe, but then again, other people also
But if that
would have
bumped you
gotten
to...
that benefit.
Yeah, if that bumped you to 31st, then that's all bull, and you don't want to do that.
Yeah, exactly, no.
You want to scroll down around that window? Because we have a special announcement.
Oh, yes. We did have one of our Twitter followers and previous Fantasy Sumo Contest winner, Huata,
Friend of the show,
Huata, send us a Banzuke prediction that he did for Natsu. And so we're going to let him know how he did compared to me in this one. So I had 32 total misses, and Huata had 55 total misses.
On behalf of the podcast, I would like to submit neener, ha 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 ha. Because we totally got him. Yep. and motion carries.
Yes. And the nerve of Wata to come at me on our group chat and be like, hey, Ryan, I nailed Shima no Umi exactly correct at Maegashira 12 East. Yeah, well, let's just compare the total body of the Banzukes before we go throwing bragging around.
He did totally nail him, though. And you missed him by a lot.
That's true, but, I mean, we could go through this and just yell at Huata for missing people such as...
On the other hand, we could move on.
We could also move on. But yeah, once again, Huata, I believe Jake said, neener, ha ha ha, and I will throw in a hearty, go screw yourself. Also,
that'll teach one of our bigger fans who likes to engage with us.
Yeah, also please keep engaging with us. You provide us with a lot of stats, and it's really fun. Thank you. But I think that is... Well, no, Jake jumped ahead, but I do want to mention that obviously we had 4 people jump up to Makuuchi. That means we had 4 people drop from Makuuchi to Juryo. So that includes Ikioi, who was all the way up at Maegashira 9 in the last Basho, but with a 2-13 record,
ouch,
he drops down to Juryo 1 West. So this gives me more ammo for Shima no Umi, who had the inverse record of Ikioi of 13-2, but didn't move up as far as Ikioi dropped.
Okay.
What gives, Banzuke makers? I demand a written response to the Shima no Umi ranking.
And if they don't respond to like our demands, I mean, what good are they?
Yeah, we are the preeminent English-speaking sumo podcast
in the upper Midwest.
Yeah, exactly. So, who has more sway than us?
We're kind of a big deal.
We really are. Chiyo no Kuni, who was at Maegashira 12 East, unfortunately was injured for the Haru Basho, and so that counts as an 0-15 record. He dropped all the way down to Juryo 7 West. Yutaka Yama, who had a very disappointing 3-12 record at Maegashira 16 West, he's going to drop down to Juryo 5 East. And Toyo Noshima, who had finally made it up to... Thank you, Jake. The sun has been shining in my eyes, and he is selflessly raising a hand to block the sun.
We'll see how quickly my shoulder gets tired.
We're close to the end of the episode, Jake. I believe in you. Toyo Noshima, who had made it up to the Makuuchi division after a few years of being down in the lower ranks, is going right back down to lower ranks, but he will have the top spot in Juryo at 1 East. So that is everything we have on our Banzuke review edition. We will be, like we said before, having our preview episode for the Natsu Basho coming out within the next week. That's going to have all 4 of the guys, so if you really like Fleric and Mac and hate Jake and Ryan, it'll be the perfect opportunity for you to get your fix.
Or at least half perfect, because we will still be there.
Yeah, that's the plan, at least. But until then, please leave us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast listening service.
You can check out our blog, GrandSumoBreakdown.com. And
Twitter.
And Twitter. Oh, yeah, okay. We got to cover Mac and Flair's spot. So Twitter.
At GSumo Breakdown and Facebook, Grand Sumo Breakdown.
The Facebook has the deal.
Yep.
And
your
Gmail.
part. Yeah, Gmail.
Gmail.
At Grand Sumo Breakdown.
Yeah. Well, not at. I mean, it's at gmail.com.
Grand Sumo Breakdown at GrandSumoBreakdown.com.
We need the other guys.
Yeah, we do. Just do your part.
I already did my part.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
All right, we have a phone number. Listen to the end of any of our other episodes to get the number. But we will see you guys in a week.
Oh, Lord.
Thank you for listening to Grand Sumo Breakdown. Until next time,
Throw your salt high.
And keep moving forward.